LasVegasTrafficCameras.com. 1725 Cameras. Access to the largest network of traffic cameras. Accident? Injured? Get the video footage you need to get justice. 725 Cameras. LasVegasTrafficCameras.com.
Our attorney, Ryan Helmick. Why is it so important to have an attorney in your corner?
The state of Nevada is represented by the prosecutor, who is an attorney. And so an individual that is charged with a crime should likewise be represented to level the playing field. And as well, you want to have somebody who has experience in dealing with these types of cases, knows what type of evidence that needs to be put forth, what type of story needs to be told to the jury in order for them to see all the facts and the circumstances surrounding the case.
Videos where you have an officer basically around the neck area.
These two retired Vegas cops now podcast hosts.
You know, they don't have ID, they can't get into a hotel room.
To get them the help they need, especially if someone even gets arrested. A lot of people don't know how the justice system works.
You guys have going on is necessary, it's needed.
Hey, it's David Kohlmeyer, the Problem Solver. Thanks for joining us today, Tuesday, 6 o'clock, Channel 14. The Problem Solver is the goal, is to help solve some problems, talk to some amazing people. Today we have Janti as a co-host today. Thanks, Janti, for coming today and
hello. Thank you for having me again.
Joining us. Then we have Danny Miner, the Crime Solver. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Always a pleasure.
And then we have a special guest today, Ashley Jackson, who is from Idaho.
Yes.
Visiting us in town because of the rodeo.
Correct.
And we figured, hey, you're in town and you got a bunch of information to offer. So I wanted to, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Preston, Idaho, which is
Idaho.
the home of Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay.
Southeastern corner of Idaho.
Okay.
The opposite side of Moscow. I know we're going to talk about that later, but
okay.
to give you an idea, right? Moscow.
How many hours from Moscow?
Like 7.
7 hours
8,
far.
10. Could be long.
Far.
Very long.
Okay.
2 different, very far. I grew up on a horse ranch in the middle of nowhere.
Nowhere.
Yeah, my family packs into the mountains to 10,000 feet, like a lost art, and hunts elk. Very interesting.
10,000 feet is high.
It's very high.
I think Mount Charleston here is like 7,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
65.
So where you lived, was there
No, it's in the
there?
Jarbidge Wilderness. So it's in northeastern Nevada is where the ranch is at. So my family lives in southeastern Idaho, and then they hunt in northeastern Nevada.
Cool.
It's just outside of Twin Falls. So it's called the Jarbidge Wilderness. It's a huge wilderness area.
But are you saying where you lived, where you grew up,
Where I
there's
grew
nobody around there?
I mean, there was like less than 5,000 people in the town. I graduated with like 140 kids. It was pretty tiny.
140 kids.
That's not very
It's
many.
amazing. I got to look at that on the map.
Mine had 180. So I came from a small town, too.
Aww.
So I know that the big thing is that you recently ran for the Idaho governor. Tell us about, first of all, how you got involved in politics.
Yeah.
What made you want to run for governor? And did you have any previous political history?
Yeah, you know what? So I got involved in politics because I saw that there was a big need for some change in rank. Let's just put it that way, right? We have a lot of leadership that's failing our country. Specifically, my state has a huge problem with cannabis. And that sounds kind of wild, but cannabis is legal in all of the states. There's only 4 states in America that doesn't have any kind of legality. And obviously there's a lot of bureaucracy involved because, there's people paying them not to make that legal. And so my governor was putting moms in jail that were trying to get it for their children who were having seizures. And that was hard for me. I watched it happen for a few years, and then I just said, if no one's going to do it, I better do it. If not me, then who?
Right.
And so I decided to run, and it was $300 in a piece of paper. I document it on my TikTok really well. Just went in, I'm running for governor, and they're like, okay.
But there's a reason that you're speaking for it, right? Something happened to you when you were younger that changed your life?
Yeah.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
So you basically decided to run for governor, but you had no previous politics, right, in your
No political
family,
experience.
no political experience whatsoever. You paid $300, you filled the form, and you run for governor.
Yeah.
But why governor? Why not run for I'm assuming is there city council, there's state assembly? Why governor's very high?
Yeah, well, I was asking her that question.
Sorry about that.
He didn't interrupt you.
It's
okay. It's okay. I love you both.
I was excited.
They're both aggressive. I feel loved. I'm feeling really loved because it's confusing and it's really interesting. Most people are like, yeah, what is going on with you? Well, let's put it this way. You have a lot of power. You can make the change, right? And so as the governor, you can expunge people, you can walk things back, you can take charge of a state that has some pretty big issues, right? He's selling land to China. He's creating, his family is a 7th generation ranch family, and that's awesome, except for you don't have the best interests of the public, right? You have,
good points.
So
I like your points.
These were the things that really kept me on the road. I traveled the whole state. I didn't fundraise at all. I didn't have big donors. It was all
How much money did you raise?
Under $10,000. Not very much. I didn't look to raise. I just wanted to travel and make it known that, hey, if you have cannabis or you need something with cannabis. And then as I traveled, it was heartbreaking. Moms would call me. They're living in their car with their kids because of the housing crisis. Housing crisis is really intense in Idaho because all of California has moved to Idaho. And Governor Little has allowed Meta to really come in and put some, they've put big servers inside of the waterways and some other things that are just not okay.
This is currently.
This going on right now. And it's okay. The media was paid not to cover me. I would go to the stations and they would say, sorry, we can't cover you.
Well, you're the little guy, little gal, actually.
So basically they were being paid off not to do any type of news coverage for you.
Yeah, because it's illegal, right? Brad Little his team would say it's illegal. You cannot do this. It's against the law, number one. And then number two, we don't know her narrative. In order to run and to debate, they say you have to have run before. That's a qualification.
Really?
Yeah, because they want to know your narrative.
So you weren't allowed to debate?
So I wasn't allowed to debate. We didn't have any debates going into it.
How many other people ran for governor?
7.
7 people.
Including the incumbent governor, right? So it was a primary election, right?
Okay.
And that happened this year. The election was May 12th.
And so the incumbent won?
And the incumbent won, yeah. Obviously the incumbent won. The money is just...
What was the percentage that you received compared to other people?
I got about 15% of the vote in some of the counties, as low as 3%. But I did no fundraising. And so with no fundraising, I thought that was pretty great. I had a lot of people that got help. So you know what I mean? They felt empowered to run in their community. And it showed me that you can make a difference, but you got to probably start in your local community, right? You really have to figure out who's making the decisions for me.
You know what's crazy? I'm sorry.
No,
go ahead. It's such
I guess we don't talk today.
I'm sorry.
No, we made him. We made him.
Okay.
It's such a big state for you to go all over the place and run. It's really amazing if you think about it. It's almost like it needs to be like a documentary. I'm sorry, jump in.
Did you do any speeches?
Yeah.
Oh,
so I would go and
Okay.
I would follow the GOP party. So the GOP leader, they would say where they were going to be. And they would never invite me, but I would show up anyway.
You did run as a Republican now?
Oh, yeah. So I'm a pro-cannabis Republican.
Wow.
First in the nation, out openly to run for
I'm
governor.
Republican and pro-cannabis.
I think 90% of Republicans are actually pro-cannabis.
Yeah.
They're just a little nervous to say that.
Right.
I believe that Republicans are on the wrong side of cannabis.
Right.
And
I do
believe
too.
we need to get our straight.
I agree.
Conservative.
Yeah,
Right?
it is a conservative issue. It's a medical issue. It's a quality of life issue.
We're going to take a quick minute break. When we come back, let's talk about the whole part of cannabis, how it saved you, and I'm assuming you're pro-cannabis in general, and you can talk a little bit about Idaho and so on with that. So we'll be back in a quick minute.
Your Honor, I want you to get the full picture of what happened. The real world is sometimes complicated and messy, and so can be criminal justice system. My name is Ryan Helmick. I'm a criminal defense lawyer here in Las Vegas.
Hey, it's David Coleman, The Problem Solver. We're back here. We're talking to Ashley Jackson, who got involved in the community in Idaho, running for governor, and amazing story so far. Tell us a little bit about you, an unusual story about cannabis and how it saved your life. Is that what happened?
Yeah, for sure. I was raised Mormon, and in the Mormon religion, they teach you that drugs are bad. I think in general they say drugs are bad, and
probably very religion, right?
the DARE program.
We both taught DARE.
I taught DARE.
I was going to say we probably both
We're
taught
DARE certified
right?
here.
Scruff
We are
McGruff.
DARE certified, yes.
Chicago, Illinois, 60652. The Scruff McGruff campaign.
If you need a list, any type of extra lessons, let us know because we're certified to teach.
On drugs?
Yeah.
Extra lessons on drugs?
Stay away from drugs.
Thank you.
So tell us more.
Except cannabis.
So I I got sick. What happened was I got sick. I got E. coli. I was in Las Vegas for the rodeo. It was like 2011, and I was at McDonald's. I was with someone else. We had bad creamer, is what they think. And I got really, really sick, and I couldn't get better. And as I went to the Western medical doctors, they would tell me it was in my head, right? They would be like, oh, I think you have anxiety. And so they'd put me on antidepressants, and then they'd put me on uppers. You know, they put me on all sorts of things to try to help me, and I was not getting better. And intuitively, as a human being, I think we go like, okay, maybe I'm being misled. So I found a holistic practitioner after about almost a year of being sick. And she said, you need to ingest THC. And I was like, oh, I'm going to hell.
Interesting.
You know, and I was like, and I came up right against my belief system, and I had to like kill. There was a part of me that had to die away. I chose to try it after still being nauseous, you know. And then,
what were your symptoms for a year?
Yeah, so I just couldn't keep food down, and it was like it would go straight through me. That's gross, but like it's like it was the E. coli had kind of ruined the function in my gallbladder and in my body, right? It was like corrupting my system. And the reality is who knows what exactly it was or what was going on. I just know that after taking THC, I experienced relief and my body went back into homeostasis.
Interesting.
And that's what the holistic practitioner said would happen.
How long did you have to consume it?
It was like, literally, I tried it once and nothing happened, because what they say is your receptors open the first time you try it. And then the second time I tried it, I had the most relief I'd ever had in my life. I'd been nauseous for almost a year.
Were you having like pains in your stomach?
Yeah, like really sharp, intense pains. I'd eat something and it would like, it was like something out of a bad movie.
I have a stomach issue as well in the past. So I'm very familiar with, those pains.
Do you take that as well?
No, actually,
you tried it?
I'm on some other medicine to be preventive, but I did have surgery. That's one of the reasons why I retired from policing was I had surgery. And then I had some hernias that came back, and wearing a vest and stuff like that, can create more hernias in the future. So it was just a good time to retire in general. But my nephew has the same condition I have, and he takes marijuana as well. But here's a good question for you, not to go into major religion, is that, like marijuana is a plant, but the government says it's a drug. So when we say that you're Mormon religion, I mean, it really is a plant, but the government, someone else is saying it's a drug.
So this is really confusing, right? I think we're all...
Who says it's a drug? Oh, because if it changed your mental state, right?
Well, one day you wake up and you realize, I think we're all misled.
100%. Yep.
So what happened is Patty Hearst, right, back in the day, she had this whole ordeal happen, and then suddenly her family that owns the media starts pushing that cannabis is bad. And then, I mean, there's this whole string of events. I spoke yesterday at this women's conference, and I talked about this. I said, you know what? If you go back and look in history and you could document it, and you'd see that we're all taking plants that are jacked up. Like all the medicine you're taking is from a plant somewhere. And if it's not, it's synthetic, right? It's probably not very good for you. But it came derivatively from a plant. Like the Native American people used plants just like you would use Advil, right?
Yeah.
And so when you start to understand that there's power in plants and that the government is telling you one's good and one's bad, you see that maybe it's over money and maybe it's over power. Because maybe it has the idea, like, I don't know, they say that some of these plants are entheogens, right? They allow you to feel or see God in a way. And all it means is it shuts your prefrontal cortex off.
Right.
And so like if you're allowed to be or see or feel that God energy, what if you're powerful? And what if the government loses power? So no wonder there's a narrative that doesn't really work. I mean, that's one idea.
That's an interesting theory, but isn't every single drug, if you think about it, made from plants? I mean, everything that we're consuming now, right? It has to come from somewhere, correct? I think the problem with why there has to be regulation is because people take advantage of it, right? Don't you think? And overdo it. Don't you think that?
With cannabis, they're both like, we don't know anything about drugs.
No, you don't agree, obviously.
I'm pro marijuana.
I think with cannabis in general, there's not enough information, not enough people that are willing to take the lead like this and say, hey, look, let's be uncomfortable and talk about weed. Let's talk about that marijuana, cannabis, hemp, weed, pot, ganja, same plant. You got to look at it like strategically, like what is happening here? It's 2 feet higher than alfalfa.
Why do you think the Democrats did not legalize it? Now, they've had power for 2 years and they didn't legalize it.
Because I promise you, it wakes you up. It wakes you up, though, and they don't want a loss of power.
It's control.
It wakes you up.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's not, Dave, I don't know if you know this. The federal government has that as worse as heroin and cocaine. Okay, that's insane. That drug is nothing like heroin and cocaine. It's
I've never
ridiculous.
studied it to the T, but just like, we were cops and, you go through the DARE program, right? We talk about marijuana and it's bad, and I'm sure there's stuff that says it's good and bad, but, it's kind of like a little bit of a sheep as well. Like we as a DARE officer, right, you have to follow that program. So unless you're like, for marijuana, you wouldn't be teaching the DARE program, right? So look, there's a lot of education information. The truth is these days, every state's kind of opening up and legalizing it, and a lot of people feel better from it. So the bottom line is it did help you, right?
It helped me a lot. And as soon as it helped me, I realized that it could help other people. And so I started really advocating for that. And what I found is that a lot of people were moving out of state because they couldn't get it for their kids. So that's when I wrote the book.
I've heard with the kids with the seizures and stuff like that, which is very, very interesting. Look, the bottom line is if it's helping children and helping people in general, I mean, it's definitely something that you gotta, I guess people moving out of certain areas if they don't. So right now it is illegal marijuana in Idaho.
100% illegal.
Not even medical.
Not
nothing.
even medical. And when they tried, so when they took that, what you're talking about, that bill to the House floor or the Senate floor, whatever it was, Mr. Crapo, Mike Crapo, the senator, I wrote a letter that said, hey, take this and tell Nancy Pelosi to put her money where her mouth is, take the tax off all this, and make it completely legal and decriminalized.
Yes.
Like, hello. And he wouldn't put it on the floor.
How many states are not legal now?
4.
4 states are not. Every other state, it's legal in regards to what? Medical marijuana or...
There's some kind of legality
there's
involved. Even
right?
Texas has some CBD and like THC9 and Delta-9 and things like this. But I have a pitch deck if someone wanted to talk to me about it. They could email me.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, we'll take a quick minute break. When we come back, let's talk about what's going on in Moscow, Idaho in regards to the sad situation with the 4 college students. We don't know the area, so it's very interesting that you're here today to talk about Idaho and the area in general. So we'll be back in a quick minute.
Injured? Call 602-HURT. Car accident? Call 602-HURT. Pacific West Injury Law, a firm that focuses on you. Our firm is dedicated to you and your recovery. No fee until we win.
Hey, it's David Colmeyer, the Problem Solver. We're back here talking to Ashley Jackson, who's from Idaho, and we're fortunate to have her today. She was talking about her run for governor. Sad to say she lost, because she'll probably be an amazing governor, making some changes. We just talked about cannabis and how basically it helped her and saved her in regards to the medical condition, and how probably cannabis could help a lot of children, specifically in the state of Idaho, where we said 4 states don't have whether medical marijuana or recreational marijuana to help people, specifically in medical conditions. And then one of the last topics we wanted to talk about was, very sad situation. 4 people, college students, were killed and murdered in Moscow, Idaho. We know nothing about Moscow. Tell us, Ashley, just about the community in general, college town, whatever you know.
So it's so sad. I went to school in Ontario, Oregon, but I'm from Preston, Idaho, which is this other side. But I did get to travel a lot to Moscow. And it's small, right? Everybody knows everybody. And the sad part is that community supports that college so much. And so as I've watched it unfold, you can see that it's just gut wrenching, right? Because this doesn't happen in a small town. You expect, you don't want to, but you expect it to happen in a bigger city. But this kind of a town feels like it's an earthquake for them.
How big is that town?
There's about 25,000 people in Moscow.
Okay.
So, but that's like surrounding areas, right? The town itself. And some of that's from the college, right? So, but in general, I think, it's a really, really tragic event.
So basically, it's a small college town. Everybody knows everybody. But the crazy thing about it is, Danny, a.k.a. the crime solver here, basically, has been studying it a lot. It just seems crazy because that they're looking for any type of information, and it appears maybe they're getting a little bit closer to something. But what's your take on it, Danny?
Well, they're looking at a lot of things. Right now, I believe they don't have a suspect. Just what I'm hearing on the news, I don't think they have a suspect, because I think if they had a suspect, the person would be in custody already. Because Dave, as well as I do, if that person is in danger to the public, you're not going to wait till you get more evidence. Right. You're going to bring them in on the evidence you have and then find evidence later, because you can't leave a dangerous person out there. So my feeling is they don't have a suspect, which is very sad. I think that the nation has embraced this case because it's so tragic. You got 4 young kids stabbed to death in their sleep. It's like a scary movie. It really is. And now they're saying 3 miles from this scene, and I watched the 2 people that this happened to their dog. A person's dog was captured, skinned, and filleted like they were going to eat it.
Wow.
3 miles from this scene. So to me, and serial killers and murders, they start with animals. They start with animals and then they move up. So I think that might be connected. I really do. That's my feeling.
I mean, we're following it more every day, but it's crazy because every day that goes by, it just seems like there's a lot less information, or that less likely they can catch the person unless some tips have come in. I think there's been over 1,000 tips that have come into the Moscow Police Department in Idaho, and I'm just really, really surprised that really nothing has come from it. One of the things that we wanted to do from our show basically was to offer reward money. We haven't got a chance to do it right yet in regards to doing like a news release, and I'm sure there's reward money out there from Crime Stoppers of Idaho, which I'm going to check today. Yeah. We're going to do a news release, but from the Problem Solver show and now for the Crime Solver in regards to Danny kind of initiative in helping, these different crimes where, it's unknown of what has took place, the offering reward money is helpful to get information. But 1,000 tips, even if we basically providing money in general, 1,000 tips came in, like if we offer $2,000 or $5,000, does that really make a difference where someone's really coming forward?
Right.
They already received 1,000 tips. But of the Problem Solver show, we wanted to offer a $5,000 reward. If they call, we have a tips number, 1-833-TIPS-CASH. They can go to thecrimesolver.com, takes you to a location where it could be anonymous. As long as it comes through our tips hotline, we would provide $5,000 with any information that leads to an arrest and conviction of the person that killed these 4 people in Idaho. So that's one of the things, at least, that we're doing from our show. It's one of the initiatives that we do from our show because we're retired cops. We want to help people. We want to get closure in regards to it. So it's something that we're doing. And we really want to get justice for these 4 people. Very tragic event. I'm sorry. Tell me more that you were going to say.
No, I don't. I was just listening to you. I think it's really brave that you guys are willing to do that. I applaud you because there's not a lot of, it's really sad because not a lot of people will take up for this, right? They're nervous because what if they're in the spotlight too and then something bad happens? But it's very brave of you, so I applaud that. What I was going to say is that what I've been reading today is that they can't rule out that it wasn't more than one person.
Right. I was going to say that too.
And so I wish I didn't have like a gut feeling that like, what if, what's really sad is like, and I know the dog thing is really weird and interesting. It's weird. Like that's really, really weird. And I don't know. It just reminds me, and this is horrible, but it reminds me of the JonBenet Ramsey case so much.
That it's not going to be solved. Yeah.
That there's like this.
Could you imagine if it's not going? I thought about that today too, because he was covering that case as well. Could you imagine if that town just did not resolve that matter and that was always unsolved?
I think what the problem is, and I'm going to be honest here, small police departments, I worked for a small police department, then I went to a bigger police department. They don't have the stuff that big police departments have. Yeah. And then they don't want to call for help because it's more of like, we could do this, we could do this. And that's what happened with Boulder. They messed that whole case up. Yeah. And I'm usually stick up for the cops, but the Boulder police, I don't know if they messed this case up or not. I don't know yet. We'll know if it ever goes to trial or what comes out. But yeah, small PDs do not ask for help, and they should.
Sadly,
you know what I mean?
The evidence might be, there might not.
How big is that PD? Probably like 40 guys, maybe.
They're probably overwhelmed.
I would think, I would say 40, 50 guys, maybe, their police department.
Wow.
Well, here's a question,
just off the top of my head.
But they have the FBI. They have all these people involved now. There's more people on this probably than
they
ever
do.
Before.
But Dave, the FBI is not there in the beginning. The beginning is the important part. Because in the JonBenet Ramsey case, they left the people in the house. They left the people in the house to roam the house where the evidence was. You don't do that. That's crazy. Maybe they did it because they were rich people in the community and they were afraid of them. But you don't do that.
What did they say about crime is the first 48 hours, right? That's
yes.
very important.
Yes. If you don't solve in the first 48, you're going to have trouble solving it.
Interesting.
And homicides are the most solved case.
Ashley, anything else in regards to Idaho, Moscow, in regards to that town? Anything that you think that we can do to support law enforcement out there? Just your thoughts. I know you met a lot of people when you were trying to run for governor, but anything unusual? I always look for people for unusual strategies.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
If you're willing to help those people up there, you definitely should figure out how to get on Facebook. I know there's 2 Facebook groups where they have like open tip, like if you can go help, people are going there to help. And I don't know if that works. Like, I'm not sure that that's the answer.
No, I don't know.
Everybody go to Moscow, Idaho, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that there are probably the moms and the dads of the kids that really need some help right now, and whatever that looks like, right? I wish that I didn't say it, but there's got to be some kids that know what.
Yes.
What happened at the party? Because they all got home like 2 a.m. They all got home at 2 a.m. It says that's what they can put together. Right. Like, it doesn't seem logical unless it's just a random killing.
Right.
Like if we're back to 1980 something and we have random killing on the side of the road because
one thing that's really just last thing that I'll share with you. It's very interesting in New York City. the way that they caught the son of Sam.
I was just going to bring that up.
Okay.
Just going to bring it
I
up.
don't know this.
They normally have to run every single license plate.
Yep.
And when I became a brand new cop, I was on a foot beat, and there was a homicide, and some detective, first grade detective, comes up to me and says, "Hey, I want you to write down every single license plate in this block." And I was like, "Oh my God, now I got to walk down the street, freezing cold, taking down license plate numbers." And I really didn't understand. I just did what my order was at the time, kind of like quasi-military. And it was because they run every single name to see if they have any priors, any warrants, anyone related. They check all the names, which is very, very good. I mean, the question is, how many cars within that immediate area seem like a real suburban community in general, but you run all the plates, or if there's a ticket. So son of Sam was caught because he parked at a fire hydrant and he got a ticket, and that's how they figured out who it was at that time, because they went back and looked at the tickets. Now, it is a bigger city, New York, compared to Moscow, Idaho, but I'm assuming someone took a bunch of plates, but they probably need to check the plates where the party was or where they came from, the college, you know, where they went, because maybe they were followed home.
Yes.
So I think that that's a good question.
Right.
If they would have went right away within the first, 6 to 12 hours, did they run every plate? Did they write every plate down where that food truck was at that location? That would be really, really important, because they could have been followed home.
Yeah.
Especially they were three.
Yeah.
3 girls or something? 3.
3 girls, 1 boy. Yeah.
So.
And 2 people were in the house that survived.
Yeah.
Never heard it. They woke up 9 hours later and they found their roommates dead.
Janti,
That's crazy.
Anything else that you want to add in regards to that situation?
No.
I mean, look, I hope this never happens anywhere else in the United States
Terrible.
of America. It's a very sad situation. Myself, as the problem solver, Danny, the crime solver, basically, we want to do everything possible that we can help. If any of our ideas and suggestions, at least we'll offer the reward money. We'll do a news release. We'll let people know we're basically trying to help solve, this horrible and horrific murder that took place for 4 young people.
Yeah, my heart goes out to the families that are suffering right now, and that whole community, right? And I think that the reality is if you can help, like if you have any, someone knows something.
Yeah, 100%.
Someone knows something, and they're not saying it because they're so scared.
Well,
right?
I think it'll all come out at the end.
Yeah.
Everything does, Yep. It's just timing. So
Maybe they'll hear this.
Well, Ashley, really appreciate you coming on the show. Janti, thanks for co-hosting. Danny, thanks for co-hosting as usual. Again, the whole point of the problem solvers help solve problems in regard to this situation, even though it's, is it state away?
Where are we, Nevada? Yeah, we touch it.
We touch it. So the bottom line is, one state away, our neighboring state, we want to help out. Again, we're offering a $5,000 reward. Specifically, they call 1-833-TIPS-CASH, or they go to crimesolver.com. They fill in the tip information. We will supply it to Moscow, Idaho Police Department. We'll share the tip. If it leads to an arrest and conviction, we're more than happy to give $5,000 as a reward. And then you can remain anonymous if you go to thecrimesolver.com. So with that being said, again, Danny, anything else?
Right.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, Danny, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Ashley, thank you. Janti, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. You know what? They can share this, and if they hear this, like share this. Obviously, especially if they live up there and this comes across their desk.
Absolutely.
To get this out. So
awesome.
Well, we'll see you next week, Tuesday at 6 p.m., Channel 14. Please be careful, be safe, and have a good one.
LasVegasTrafficCameras.com. 1725 cameras. Access to the largest network of traffic cameras. Accident? Injured? Get the video footage you need to get justice. 725 cameras. LasVegasTrafficCameras.com.